Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I am Ashmit Kumar and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. 158 people are dead and 200 injured after multiple landslides in Kerala's Wayanad district. More than 190 people remain unaccounted for and the rescue efforts continue. Over 3,000 people have been moved to relief camps. Maruti Suzuki beats estimates in Q1. Revenues rises 10% and profits surge 47%. M&M reports a strong operational performance even as revenue growth falls short of expectations. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari writes to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, calls for removal of 18% GST on health and life insurance products. A CNBC TV 18 analysis shows that the government collected more than 87,000 crore rupees as GST in FY24. Warburg Pincus is betting big on India. The head of Asia Private Equity, Vishal Mahadevia, says interest in India has risen significantly in the last 10 years and vows to ramp up investments. Supreme Court reserves its verdict on the retrospective application of the judgment upholding the rights of state governments to tax mineral output. Union government along with Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan argue against retrospective application. Jharkhand claims poorer states cannot forego revenue. A fresh twist to the mother and son battle at Godfrey Phillips. A Delhi court vacates the interim stay order protecting Sameer Modi's position as director and lifts the injunction on the sale of the retail business. Sources say Sameer Modi is exploring legal options. The Company Law Appellate Tribunal pauses the settlement between Byju's and the BCCI. The court allows Byju's to submit an undertaking on the source of the funds after US lenders raised objections. Union government is looking at proposals received to allay the impact of the removal of indexation on real estate. Sources say no decision has been taken yet. The standoff between government and opposition worsens in Parliament. Congress party moves a privilege motion against Prime Minister Modi for sharing BJP MP Anurag Thakur's expunged remarks on Rahul Gandhi's caste. The political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, is killed in Tehran, raising fears of further unrest in the region. Hamas blames Israel for the attack and Iran promises revenge. Israel is yet to confirm or deny its involvement. India's paddlers and shuttlers shine at the Paris Olympics. Manika Batra and Shrija Akula become the first Indian women to enter the round of 16 in table tennis. Lakshya Sen stuns world number 4 Jonathan Christie to enter the knockouts. PV Sindhu is also in the knockout stage. Boxer Lavlina Borgwan wins her opening bout. Well, here's the top story this evening. 158 bodies have been recovered so far as multiple landslides struck 2 villages in Kerala's Wayanad district. Bad weather is continuing to hamper the rescue operations. The IMD has predicted very heavy rainfall in the region to continue till tomorrow. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has said that 191 people remain missing. More than 200 people who are injured are receiving treatment. Over 3,000 people are currently living in makeshift relief camps, having lost their homes and livelihoods. National flags across the state are flying at half-mast as the government announced a 2-day mourning period. Speaking in the Parliament, Union Home Minister Amit Shah claimed that timely warnings were sounded about the weather in Kerala, but the state's chief minister contested these claims, saying that no red alert was issued. Here is a ground report from Harish Upadhyay.
The search and rescue operation at the landslide hit location here in Wayanad continues, and the weather remains a big challenge. All the rescue workers who are here have now built a temporary bridge to ensure they can move rescue workers and material to the other side. This is Churulmala that we are talking about. This is where we are. On the other side is Mundakai, that's been badly hit. This stream over here has, in a way, slowed the progress of the rescue operation. This was the only access road, with the bridge now being washed away. A temporary bridge being used, but if the weather turns worse, the current increases, then this bridge is not suitable for any sort of a use. That's why the defense forces now are building a Bailey Bridge that should be up by tomorrow, is what they're anticipating. That will increase the pace of the rescue work. They can move more men and material quickly. This is where the landslide has hit. Up in the hills where it occurred, a lot of soil, a lot of rock and water came gushing down, and you have this entire area now being devastated. At least 2 villages completely wiped off, more than 100 deaths, but a lot of bodies yet to be recovered. In fact, the sniffer squad of the Kerala police has managed to trace and mark 5 bodies. One of it has been recovered, 5 more yet to be recovered. They're waiting for the JCB and all this machinery to reach there. So the death toll is likely to increase. In the meanwhile, the government working and racing against time to ensure help reaches every person who's been affected by this mega landslide.
Well, a developing story that we'll keep our eye on the developments coming out of Kerala. Let's shift our focus now to the stock market action for the day. Sensex and Nifty ended with marginal gains, but it was a record close for the 4th straight session. Mid-caps outperformance continues, with the index gaining over 350 points. Banks, however, relatively underperformed the indices. Foreign portfolio investors have bought shares worth $3.3 billion in July, making a comeback on Dalal Street. This is the biggest investment by FPIs in the last 4 months. And well, a day after SEBI proposed changes to derivative trading, shares of BSE and Angel One rallied in trade. Multiple brokerages expect F&O volumes to drop by 30 to 40% due to the proposed tweaks. Rajesh Baheti of Cross Seas Capital Services says that the changes are a big blow for the National Stock Exchange. He expects 60 to 70% of NSE's business on expiry to be impacted by the changes.
NSE has had the most successful F&O contracts for the last many years, and these are Bank Nifty and Nifty. And asking NSE to choose between the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, obviously, when they use the word benchmark, it's very, very obvious that it has to be the Nifty and not the Bank Nifty. I think would be a big, big blow to the NSE in choosing. Rather than that, I would have probably gone back to the system of each exchange can choose one expiry day per week.
Well, the stock markets across the world will have their eyes fixed on the U.S. Federal Reserve tonight. The Fed will be announcing its 5th interest rate decision of 2024. Analysts expect benchmark rates to remain unchanged, but they will hunt for clues on when the Fed will ease rates. According to a CNBC survey, more than 80% of Wall Street is expecting a cut in September. Meanwhile, Bank of Japan has raised its benchmark interest rates to around 0.25%, the highest in 14 years. Well, shifting focus now to the earnings season. The big earnings today. India's largest automaker, Maruti Suzuki, posted an all-round beat in Q1. Net profit up close to 47% YOY. Sonia Shenoy joining us now with helping us crunch those numbers. Sonia.
Well, the numbers are actually looking very good, much higher than what the street was estimating. And it's an all-round beat on Maruti's performance this time around. So just taking you through the earnings, right? The profits for Maruti have gone up almost 12%, coming in at 3,650 crores. The revenues are up almost about 3% as well. The EBITDA has gone up 13% at 4,500 crores, while the margins for Maruti have gone up 130 basis points. If you look at it at 12.7%, this is much higher than what CNBC TV18's poll was. Even if you look at the profits, right, 3,650 crores is what the company has reported. This compares to a CNBC TV18 poll of 3,272 odd crores. Now, for Maruti, the net profits have gone up about 46%. And if you look at it, it's the margin expansion is largely because of better operating leverage as well as a better product mix that the company has delivered.
Right, Sonia, thanks a lot for that. From Maruti now to M&M, which reported a mixed set of numbers in the first quarter. Net profit dropped by 5% on a year-on-year basis. Revenue for the quarter came in below CNBC TV18's poll, even as it increased 12% for the quarter. However, the company's EBITDA beat the street's expectations, rising by 22% on a YOY basis. The group CEO and MD, Anish Shah, is upbeat on the road ahead.
we feel pretty confident in terms of where we are positioned right now. And in terms of the electric pickup, again, based on the previous question as well, we feel pretty good that with the product set that's coming out, we will be very favorably positioned. Businesses all are running on firing on all cylinders. That's a good place to be. For us, the operating performance is the most important one that we look at. Are we operating them well? The answer to that is yes. And we continue to monitor them.
Well, meanwhile, Tata Steel delivered a mixed bag in the first quarter. Revenue came in at 54,000 crore rupees, missing estimates. The net profit jumped by 75% YOY to over 900 crore rupees. Margins increased to 12.2% versus 8.7% last year. The company also reported an exceptional loss of over 350 crore rupees last quarter. Well, more earnings action now. Ambuja Cement missed the expectations in the quarter ending June. Standalone profit came in at 570 crore rupees, down over 11% YOY. EBITDA declined over 30% to nearly 650 crore rupees. Margins, meanwhile, also came down to just over 14% from 20% when compared to last year. And state-run Coal India reported an all-round beat in the first quarter. Net profit rose 26% on a sequential basis to nearly 11,000 crores. Margins came in at 39.3% versus 37.7% last year. Production of raw coal increased to nearly 190 million tons against 175 million tons in the previous year period. Now, the union government is looking at proposals received to allay the impact of the removal of indexation on real estate. The decision to withdraw the indexation in the budget has sparked a big backlash. However, sources say that no decision has been taken as yet. Timsy Jaipuria joining us with more details. Timsy.
Well, that's right. What we are given to understand from sources is that as we speak, currently government is mulling over various representations that it has received on the budget proposal to remove indexation benefits on the real estate deal. As we speak, there's no decision that has been taken, but yes, these representations have been received post the budget announcement, and they are currently being examined at the North Block. North Block is currently mulling over these. Now, some of the proposals that have come through these representations are including to have a dual regime, just like the old and new regime in the personal tax. That's what representation suggests, that it should be left open for the people to decide whether they want to take the indexation benefit by paying 20% long-term capital gains, or go for no indexation benefit with 12.5% as announced by the budget. So they have actually pitched that there could be a dual regime and let people decide which is a benefit that they want to take, or to keep indexation benefit for properties that have been bought before July 2024. Some of these proposals are there in these representations as I listed out, and they are being mulled upon. Now, remember, in the budget, government announced very clearly that indexation benefit needs to go away to bring in parity with all the asset classes and to bring in further simplification, and budget proposed lowering the long-term capital gains tax on real estate to 12.5% without the indexation benefit. We've sent queries to the Finance Ministry, which currently remain unanswered. But yes, sources indicate that such a proposal is under consideration. Government is mulling upon all these representations that it has received. Back to you.
Right, Timsy, thanks a lot for that update. Now, a significant step forward in the privatization of IDBI Bank. Sources tell us that the proposal to sell stake in the bank has received the fit and proper clearance from the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. With this, the bidders for the bank will begin their due diligence from early August. Sources also tell us that the government will call for financial bids before the end of this financial year. Well, meanwhile, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has requested Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to consider removing GST on life and health insurance products. A CNBC TV 18 analysis shows that the government collected nearly 90,000 crore rupees in GST in FY24 alone. Yash Jain joining us now with more details. Yash, what is the potential impact that the Exchequer is looking at in terms of the government's kitty if this 18% GST is done away with?
Well, Ashmit, the request to reduce GST on life insurance and general insurance products is nothing new. What's different this time around is that it's not the industry which has demanded a cut in GST on medical insurance and life insurance products, but it's Union Minister Nitin Gadkari who's requested this particular removal of GST. And it's not just a cut in GST that has been sought for, but it's removal of GST on life and medical insurance products. Now, what we've been, able to, understand with respect to numbers is that the health insurance industry in FY24 collected 1.1 lakh crore when it comes to total premium collection. The life insurance industry in FY24 collected about 3.78 lakh crore in premiums in FY24. 18% GST, if derived by the government, where states and centre both have a share, it would have been about 19,600 crore and 68,000 crore, totaling to about 87,600 crore rupees out of GST. This demand which has come from Nitin Gadkari will be a difficult one to move on, because of course there are various stakeholders in terms of different states which have their share, and to go on and put this forward to them will be an important thing to watch out for.
Right, Yash, thanks a lot for that. Crunching important numbers for us in terms of the impact. Nitin Gadkari issued a strong message, of course, saying that life's uncertainty should not be taxed with an 18% GST. Let's move ahead now on to Court Corner. Busy day in the courtrooms. The Supreme Court has reserved order on whether state governments have the right to impose retrospective taxation on mining activity. A 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court upheld the rights of the state government to tax activities linked to extraction of minerals. Now, the court will have to decide if the tax can be applied retrospectively. The union government argued against retrospective taxation, saying that it will have a cascading impact across all industries and consumers. State governments of Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan also supported the union government's stance, but Jharkhand argued that poorer states cannot afford to forego revenue. Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Karnataka account for nearly 90% of all the mining activity in India. Jharkhand accounts for just over 4% of all the mineral output in the country. And a fresh twist to the mother and son battle at Godfrey Phillips. A Delhi court has vacated the interim stay order protecting Sameer Modi's position as a director in the company. The court held that Godfrey Phillips cannot be compelled to appoint Sameer Modi as a director. However, the court also ordered Beena Modi to not contravene with succession deed and also directed her to recommend Sameer Modi for nomination as a director. The court also lifted the injunction on the sale of retail business of the group under the brand name 24/7. Sources say Sameer Modi is exploring legal options after this verdict. On to the Byju's versus BCCI case now. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal had decided to pause the payment settlement agreement arrived at between both the sides. The Appellate Tribunal has allowed Byju's to submit an undertaking on the source of funds to settle this claim of 158 crores, which Byju's has already paid 50 crores as of yesterday and was to clear the remaining amount by the 9th of August. Now, the NCLAT's pause comes after the US lenders opposed the settlement, claiming that the tribunal cannot bless such a transaction which has tainted money. Well, let's move forward now. Warburg Pincus is betting big on India. The head of Asia Private Equity, Vishal Mahadevia, has said that the interest in India has risen significantly in the last 10 years. Speaking to Shireen Bhan on the sidelines at Strides Ventures, navigating the next summit, Mahadevia promised to ramp up the investments in India.
The mood is fantastic. Everyone is looking towards India. They've been looking towards India for a while now. I think the budget and some of the things you mentioned are really important because, one, the core thing of the budget is people were concerned post-elections, will fiscal discipline remain? That remained. And secondly, just the signaling to investors by removing something like the angel tax. It's not a big revenue thing. It doesn't really move the budget. But the signaling itself is massive, and India sits in such a great spot. So I'll just give you an anecdote. 5-10 years ago, I would go to investor meetings in New York, and maybe 2 out of 10 people would be interested in talking about India. Today, that's 9 out of 10. It'll be 10 out of 10. My biggest trouble has always been my partners in the US say, why aren't we investing more in India? And I'm like, I'm trying. We need more opportunities, more entrepreneurs, more help, all that stuff to do. But I think you're going to find an appetite for a lot more capital. to continue coming into India. The appetite's there. It's the ground-up opportunity that we need to go out and find. Let me give you a ballpark number of what we've invested. We've probably invested about $5 billion over the last 4 to 5 years in India. It should be multiples of that, otherwise we're not doing our job.
Well, coming up on India Business Hour, political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, is killed in Tehran, raising fears of further unrest in the region. Details when we come back. And you can also catch all CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, and JioCinema. Well, in the aviation space now, Delhi High Court has directed SpiceJet to pay 20 crore rupees to two engine lessors by the 8th of August. The two lessors, Team France and Sunbird France, leased 4 engines to SpiceJet, had moved the court claiming unpaid dues. The High Court has also directed for SpiceJet's CFO to appear in person before the next date of hearing if the airline fails to make that payment of 20 crore rupees. And SpiceJet is also struggling to pay its employees on time. The airline hasn't paid June salaries to several employees. The airline said that the salaries are being disbursed in a phased manner. Until date, 95% of employees have received their June salaries. The airline said that this process is aligned with its salary disbursement practice over the last 4 years. And Ola Electric's founder, Bhavesh Agarwal, has called Map My India opportunistic for filing a notice alleging copying of data for creating Ola Maps. Agarwal also said that the company will be responding to Map My India's publicly and stressed that Ola Electric is not involved in the mapping business.
On the Map My India notice, see, we have put out a public statement that we will definitely respond to it publicly, and we think it is very opportunistic of them, and Ola Electric is not even in the maps business. You know, we are a group, we have 3 different entities in the group, Ola Cabs, Ola Electric, and Ola Kritrim. And Ola Electric is not in the maps business. But there are opportunistic players across, so we will definitely respond to them at the right time.
Well, here's the big global story today. Hamas Political Chief Ismail Haniyeh, a bodyguard, have been killed as per Hamas and Iran Revolutionary Guards. The Hamas statement called the killing a treacherous Zionist raid on his residence in Tehran. Haniyeh was visiting Iran for the inauguration of President Masoud Pezeshkian. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has vowed avenging Haniyeh's assassination, calling it Tehran's duty. Turkey, China and Russia have condemned the killing, labeling it as a heinous attempt, while Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas described it as a cowardly act. Qatar has warned of a regional escalation. Israel is yet to confirm or deny its involvement. Haniyeh's death comes hours after Israel claimed that it had killed Hezbollah's top military commander in a strike on Lebanon's capital city, Beirut. The strike was a retaliation for a rocket attack that killed 12 children over the weekend. In other headlines, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris seems to have taken a marginal 1-point lead over Republican rival Donald Trump, according to a latest poll. In the 3-day poll, Harris was seen supported by 43% of registered voters, while former President Trump had secured 42% within the poll's 3.5 percentage point margin of error. Now, Kamala Harris has also challenged Trump to meet her on the debate stage. Trump had strong lead before Biden stepped down and paved the way for Kamala Harris. And the US Senate has passed major online child safety reforms in a nearly unanimous vote on Tuesday. Although the legislation, which had drawn mixed reactions from the tech industry, faced an uncertain fate in the House of Representatives, the 2 bills would need to pass in the Republican-controlled House, which is currently on recess until September, to become a law. Well, before we wrap, Edge Technologies, a joint venture between TCS and SPI, has been hit with a ransomware attack. The NPCI has flagged the cyber attack, and Ritu Singh is joining us now with more details. Ritu, give us a sense about the impact of this ransomware attack and its potential damage that it could do to the framework.
Well, what we've learned so far is NPCI confirming in a statement that CEdge Technologies, which is a tech service provider that caters predominantly to cooperative and regional rural banks, has been potentially compromised by a ransomware attack. Now, this attack has affected several of CEdge's systems, NPCI said, which has led NPCI to take precautionary measures to mitigate any broader impact on the financial ecosystem. We've also been given to understand from our sources who are directly aware of the matter that this attack has impacted more than 200 cooperative and regional rural banks so far. At least that is the initial estimates that the system is working with, because for these banks, the system were hosted by CEdge Technologies, and therefore the attack on CEdge has impacted these systems as well. Now, CEdge, just for background, is a joint venture between TCS and State Bank of India, and it is a technology infrastructure and service provider to financial institutions. And in an official statement, NPCI also disclosed that it has now temporarily isolated CEdge Technologies from accessing the retail payment systems that NPCI operates. The isolation measure, NPCI said, is intended to prevent any further spread of the ransomware and to ensure that the security of the national payment structure is intact. Now, as a result of this, customers of these 200-odd banks which are serviced by CEdge Technologies are going to be unable to access payment systems during this period. NPCI did add that restoration is underway on a war footing along with CEdge, and necessary security review processes are also in place. And it added that connectivity to the affected banks will be restored at the earliest.
Right, Ritu, thanks a lot for that update. But that's all the time that we have for. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates will continue right here on CNBC TV 18.